This is the Business Storytelling Show with Christoph Trapp. Name a top 20 storytelling podcast and a top 5% podcast globally. Christoph chats with thought leaders and experts to share tips and tricks that can help you tell your company's stories better to drive business results. Available wherever you listen to podcasts, live streamed on major social media channels, and part of the DB&A television network. Available on most U.S. television sets and streaming on Roku and Amazon Fire. Here's Christoph with today's episode. Let's go.
Hey, business storytellers. How's everyone doing? Episode 599, one episode away from 600. What special thing are we going to do? Who's going to be the 600th guest? If you want to know, join me. I think it's coming up pretty quick here next week on the live stream. And of course, depending when the podcasts drop, not soon after that, you will be able to hear and listen to it there as well. But today we want to talk about how can you stop guessing? What marketing metrics actually matter? And the answer, we will see if today's guest disagrees with me. The answer is not just sales. I'm not opposed to making money. Send me all your money if you want. Sponsor the podcast. I want all the money. But that's not the only marketing metric that matters. Everything, other things matter too. So today's guest, Howard Wolpoff, he's a chief marketing strategist at Profit Master Business Solutions. And he's joining us today to tell us what are all the different metrics that we should look at? How do we know people are moving through the funnel, if there even is a funnel still? But what should we think about? How do we get people to become our customers? Howard, nice to see you. Give me a fist bump here, my friend.
Nice to see you. There we go.
Really glad to have you on the show. Thanks for joining me. So kind of tell me, first of all, when it comes to marketing metrics, what are the most important things to look at? And, how do you kind of combine all the different things you should look at? What actually matters?
I think that the first answer to that is that you're actually measuring the actual marketing that you're doing, because you do not, if you're just throwing things out there and you're just saying, okay, let's try this. Okay, today's a new day. We're going to try something else. You're not going to have any idea of what is working, what is not working. And that is a very big challenge for small business owners, especially the small independent ones that are just solopreneurs working by themselves, and that you have to make sure that you really are tracking what you have going on, because the less than 4% of new businesses reach $100,000 in annual revenues. So if you are not tracking what you're doing, you're not going to get there. And there's different types of methodologies. One that I really enjoy is the SMART methodology, really specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, and timed objectives to focus on while you are marketing your business.
It sounds relatively simple, but the biggest challenge that I kind of heard in what you just mentioned there already is, like, you can't just throw stuff at the wall, but you also have to try different things, right? I mean, I mentioned this to somebody yesterday, how I thought web stories was like one of the new things you should try. And I did a few on christophtrapp.com, but they worked, but they didn't really take off, right? So I stopped doing them. But I gave it a good shot. But how long do you give things a shot? How long should you try things? And especially when you say, like, a small business owner, they only have so much time. They have to kind of make choices. But how long do you try a new strategy before you give up on it?
Well, that goes back into the whole focus of testing and really understanding what and how you are testing. So, for example, if you have a specific objective of doing FaceTime lives, Facebook Live, or doing reels on Instagram and TikToks, you have to figure out what is your goal? What's the specific objective? Is it just doing it, or do you want to measure it? Do you want to increase your followers by 10% by doing all this video? Can I increase my followers by 10%? They may not be watching, but look and see what kind of people are following that. Or I want to have 100 views of my video. And then when you reach that, then you move on to 1,000 views. But if you've been doing the videos and you haven't hit 100 views, you've been doing them for weeks at this point, you may want to speak to an expert of how to do that, because it's obviously something that you're doing incorrectly that's not resonating with an audience. But also you get that information because your time is valuable. So if the video is not working, then what you're doing should pause and learn a little bit more about how best to do it. But again, it goes into those markers. Those markers are going to tell you whether you're hitting a goal or not, and how to measure your time with that.
What was interesting to me always is what you just mentioned. They're really content metrics, right? How many people view, how many people see your content, whatever it might be. But at the end of the day, some of those metrics are necessary, and some of those metrics, what do they mean? I'll give you an example. And this is not even a business case. I mean, it is a little bit, but my 8-year-old daughter and I, we do daily TikToks, daily Instagram reels, and they are usually related to podcasting, right? One way or another. And
Sure.
We had one the other day that had 40,000 views. And even my 8-year-old goes, "Oh, how much money did that make us?" Now, I know why she's asking, because we're part of the Instagram partner program, whatever it's called, and we get paid out revenue share based on how many people watched our stuff. So she knows that, because she wants to buy more toys with that money.
Of course.
And of course, numbers matter, but how do you know what numbers matter? So in that case, the 40,000, it's not really a true business reason we do those. I mean, it is and it isn't. So some numbers that are going up are more important than others, right?
It starts with what is the strategy? What is the goal of what you're trying to achieve? Is what you're trying to achieve numbers of viewers because you're getting a certain amount of revenue based on how many people are watching a certain video? Then that's the focus. Is it how many phone calls or clicks on your website are you getting from your videos? That is the focus. And it really is having a set goal of what you are trying to accomplish, because every time you do a video, it's the filming of the video, it's the editing of the video, it's putting in graphics or putting in the text so people can read the video, it's the upload. That all takes time. That time is a cost, an expense that you're not getting revenue put to combat it, unless you are actually earning from what your output is on the video. So it's all about having the strategy and fulfilling the strategy and taking note to make sure that you're hitting the markers along the way.
I'm a big fan. Everything is about the goal. What are you trying to accomplish? If I'm going to the gym to get buff and bulky, don't expect to lose weight, right? If that's my goal. And if I want to lose weight, I certainly have to do other exercises. But what prevents people, and I think I see this happening quite often, when people just jump to the end, right? Because we want to make revenues. We want people to sign up. But what if, do you recommend that people jump to that stage of the funnel and immediately say, well, our goal is sales? And certainly, I mean, I'm sure you're not opposed to sales either. Neither am I. But there is a funnel, right? I mean, it's like Jason Fall said on his Winfluence podcast a couple weeks ago. He said all these companies that want to pay influencers only if they make a sale, it's really unfair, because it needs 7 to 15 touches before anybody buys anything. So all those touches beforehand, why wouldn't they get paid for contributing? So how do you get that across, that a number of different things matter and that they're all important?
Well, it starts with communication, whether it's for you speaking to yourself, whether it's speaking to a client, and it's making sure that you have everything set up for the funnel. I think one of the biggest mistakes that people make is that they'll go in and they'll spend money on an influencer, or they'll go on, they have a great opportunity to be on TV and promote their product, but they didn't prepare themselves with their website, the way the website looks, the way it's formatted, the way that it can take on the e-commerce that is coming their way, or the just creating a funnel for prospects and get opportunity to have communication with them. And that becomes very, very challenging. Or you don't have the inventory for the item that they're selling. So you do great on the show, but you don't have anything to ship people after they've made the order, and that causes problems in the long run. So it's really trying to have a full understanding of the full picture of the funnel before you're really starting on the beginning parts of the funnel to get people in to start to drive business.
Now, I know you help business owners when they are what you call in a state of chaos, right? Why does that happen? Why does it have to get to a state of chaos? Is it just because, I mean, people are just overwhelmed, or people are like, have the wrong expectations, or why does it even have to come to that?
Unfortunately, it does, because most people did not go to school to be a small business owner and entrepreneur. They went to college and they learned how to be an employee. So now you have this idea, you go out and implement it, you're starting to move forward, but there's a lot of different aspects along the way you probably or possibly have skipped, and then they come to you find them along the way, and then becomes more pressure, or you're not prepared for the growth that you have, or on the opposite, the lack of growth that's coming because, okay, I opened up a store and people should be just walking in the door, but there's marketing involved. There's the back end pieces of HR and dealing with a staff. There's licensing, that insurance that has to go into it. I'm actually working on a book right now. It's called Small Business Owner 101, the course you were never taught in college, but really needed to be an entrepreneur, small business owner. And there's so many issues that come up because these small business owners didn't know what they didn't know when they were starting, and when these things came about on their roadmap to their business. So people do end up, unfortunately, in these states of chaos because they're overwhelmed with different challenges that they weren't expecting.
What is the mix, in your opinion, when it comes to organic or paid strategies? I mean, we had Turkey on the show yesterday, and they were talking about, how you have to optimize your owned assets, right? Which is a very, very organic thing. And then we have some people on the show. I mean, we had a show a few months ago on Google Ads, right? How do you optimize Google Ads? And then we have people who are somewhere in the middle, like you have to have a good mix. Like, for example, I'm a big fan of remarketing, right? Because you get people to your website through organic search and whatnot, and then basically you remarket them. But what's your opinion on what is the right mix of paid campaigns versus organic campaigns, especially for smaller businesses, and how do they accomplish that?
The truth is, it kind of starts and stops with what kind of budget you have. And if you have a significant budget, then you can invest money on different types of ads and manage them and spend some more money and focus on different angles. And that helps you develop some of the organic, because people are going out from a different source to the website. I know, for example, if you're selling on Amazon, Amazon loves having people come from the outside in, and the more you're sending them that way, the more they'll boost up your items in store on Amazon. But if you don't have that budget, you really have to focus on your organic. You really have to get creative. First of all, you have to have good SEO in everything you do. It's not just your website. It's the blog posts you have on your website. It's the videos that you're putting out there, taking full advantage of what used to be known as Google My Business with Google, because you want Google to be your best friend in every ways and means possible, and create all that different organic flow to and from your website, and get as many backlinks as possible, which are still very important in this mix. But again, I hate to say money solves everything, but money does help in this process, that you don't have to rely so much on organic if you can run the right optimized ads that people are seeing and responding to.
What's interesting to me too, when it comes to the mix of organic and paid, I mean, certainly if you, first of all, it is an art and a science to run a good paid campaign, right? I mean, I know everybody can go into Google and just launch a campaign and there you go. But that doesn't mean you know what you're doing. That doesn't mean you have the right targeting. That doesn't mean you have the right copywriting for the ad even, right? I mean, yes, you can set it up pretty simply, but that doesn't mean you have the skill set to actually do it. Same thing when it comes to organic. Anybody in the world can do a podcast. It's easier than ever. Anybody in the world can write a blog post. Doesn't mean that, it's any good. The one thing I was thinking about when you were talking about SEO for small business owners, how do you feel about the difference between local businesses? So I'm thinking like the realtors or the restaurants or whatever, versus small businesses that really they're not geographically bound. Are there different strategies for those different businesses, or who do you typically work with?
Well, there's definitely different strategies, and I learned a lesson along the way, having to help set up something recently where the business was all around the country, so they weren't limited to a location. So when we're setting up their business profile on Google, Google, on the one hand, wants to limit you to one location. On the other hand, allows you to put in 18, 20 locations. So 18, 20 locations was put in, and within a couple of days, Google froze the account because it didn't follow their rules, and the rules is just one location. So you have to have that home base regardless wherever you are. But there are a lot of different ways to focus on local. A lot of it is, I see a lot more ads for agencies who are facilitating voice recognition posts for search, because that is people are looking for, where can I find pizza in my zip code, and being able to jump up and find the things that medical care for my dog. My dog is hurt. People are jumping on the phone and talking to Siri and asking these questions. So that's very valuable. Another thing that's valuable that people don't take full advantage of is really these databases, these registries of businesses, and almost all of them are free. Some of them have their different costs to them, and you want to be on there because and there are hundreds of them out there. Those are backlinks to your website with your URL. If nothing else, to create 100 of your own URL backlinks by putting yourself onto these different databases, and then some of them do better on search than individual websites do. And then you're now in that database of people looking for pizza places in a 5-mile radius, as an example. So there are easy answers out there that there's time involved with that. That is for sure. But there are different ways that localities are marketing businesses in there, and you just have to keep your eyes open to make sure you're making the right time and money investment.
Certainly it's there's always some strategy involved and some knowledge. So it's certainly helpful to work with somebody, even if you just bounce ideas off them. A quick commercial break, so to speak. You probably have seen me here drink my polar seltzer on the stream. You can just scan that code if you're interested in buying that over at Amazon. Now, maybe a little bit more on topic here for a second, Howard, is you hinted at voice marketing just a little bit. And Susan and Scott Westwater have this book coming out. I just did a live stream on that and a review the other day. And so I'm wondering, there's always these new things, right? We have voice marketing, we have local SEO, we have whatever, like you name it, right? AI. Oh my God. Can somebody stop talking about AI for 5 seconds? But probably not, right? So how much does a local, maybe not a local, but how much does a business owner of a small company need to know? I mean, when I'm thinking about some of the things you mentioned, local SEO, that's like there's specialists on that on their own. Voice marketing, there's specialists on that. Direct mail, we haven't even touched that, and maybe we don't have to, but if you're a local business, direct mail, it might be a good strategy. There's people who specialize in that. How can a small business owner, I keep saying local, small business owner, how can they wrap their head around all those different things?
It's very hard to, and we referred back to the chaos earlier. That's very stressful. How do you do that? And some people are very uncomfortable being on camera, although those people are sometimes the best people on camera. So by utilizing Instagram, by utilizing TikTok, which really has helped so many businesses, I find the amazing what not just the business themselves, what others can do for individual businesses. There's a guy out in Las Vegas. His name's Keith Lee, and he, for fun, just started doing reviews of restaurants, scaling everything 1 to 10. And lo and behold, he started getting a following, not just in Las Vegas, but everywhere else. And people were traveling in and out of Las Vegas. Obviously, that's a big hub. And lo and behold, in 6 months, he has like 4 million followers. He's able to change the future of a restaurant just by giving them a review, because the next day there's a line around the block. 6 months. He started in November doing this, and it's amazing that he would have not thought that he had the personality to be on camera. Now you'll hear very soon he has a TV show coming out because people that latched onto him. So there's a lot of great personalities out there who you get on camera and utilizing social media, doing things on your website. Video is very important, but you can't ignore those things. And that really goes back to your question. There are so many things out there. That's why there's chaos and stress and all these small business owners who don't understand how to market their business. That's why there's a need to bring in people to help you and figure out how to work it within your budget to help grow your revenues in really directing you in the right ways to get your message out there.
What I think what's interesting to me too is what you just mentioned. The example is, so when that person, I don't know anything about them, but the way you describe the story is they just kind of started it, right? They just kind of did it, and then it took off. And I think that does actually work because there's low stress, low pressure, right? You just do it because you want to do it, and then it may take off. But for a business, the pressure level is way higher, right? Because they're not just starting something because they kind of feel like it. Or, I mean, like when I started this podcast, I just did it because I wanted to do it, right? And now people actually listen, and over 500,000 people have tuned in. So that's kind of the difference, I think. The stress level. How do people get past that and figure out what the right runway is to make it work?
Well, again, everything goes back to strategy. It can't just be, I'm going to get upset because the third day I've done a video, nobody watched, because you don't have the followers yet to do that. And you really haven't played around with the hashtags and gotten into the flow of the algorithm. But if you have a strategy and if you are measuring what you are doing within your strategies, then you are really watching your time over the course of the day and watching what efforts you're making and tracking it to make sure that you're starting to see the growth that you are doing. Is it an easy answer? Absolutely not. It can take time. It will take a lot of time to really get those types of tractions. The example I gave with Keith Lee is like needle in a haystack situations. Those don't always happen, but businesses with the right personalities can come out and really get a lot of following. I love seeing videos of the lawn care guys who go, I'm just going to clear this guy's lawn out for free and clear out all the grass between the gaps in the sidewalk. I can watch that for hours, and local guys will get. I've recommended a couple of people who I've seen do these local videos because someone's looking for a lawn guy, and hey, this guy, you can tell this guy has character, and that's why his videos work, and that's why he'd be a good person to spend your money with.
That's why it's important to have some personality. The other thing that just crossed my mind is also, how do you tie it all together with some of the things you already do? I'll give you an example. There's plenty of local businesses that sponsor local sports teams, right? Youth sports teams. And, a lot of times I say to whoever is the sponsor, I said, well, like, what do you do? Do you have your link on their website? Did you ask for that? And a lot of times people say, oh, no, I didn't ask for that. And not that link is going to send you a lot of traffic, but it certainly will help you with local search. As I think it was Greg Gifford who mentioned that on the show. So are there any, maybe in 30 seconds here, are there any other easy examples where you can tie things into something you already do?
Well, that goes back to just quickly that gives you another backlink and in general for search. But a lot of it, look, it's all of it's based on the company itself and the business owner. So there are things that garage haulers can't do, but then again, they may make some great video that a doctor can never accomplish. So it's really looking within yourself and really finding the right strategy that works for you, and really mapping out how to implement it.
Absolutely. Howard, I really appreciate you coming on the show. In the last 30 seconds here or so, tell us, how do people connect with you? Who should reach out specifically? And best luck with the book. Congratulations. That's always a heavy lift, and really appreciate you coming on.
Thank you for that. You can reach me on my website, profitmasterbusinesssolutions.com. I work with small business owners. Pretty much have been working for too long and too hard, have not seen all the efforts of the business, their results. Just really trying to alleviate that stress and to increase those revenues. So please click on my website and reach out and ask me any questions. I'm always happy just to answer general questions.
That's a wrap. Thanks for tuning in. Please rate and review our show on your favorite podcast channels. And don't forget to share this episode with your networks. We appreciate you.